to the Webcast for Wednesday, October 29th. I'm South Ops meteorologist Jonathan O'Brien. We have clear skies to start out the day as dry air and offshore flow continue to prevail across the region, setting up what will be another sunny and unseasonably warm day today. Here's a look at some current wind observations over Southern California. We still have some areas of breezy northeast to east winds in the typically favored corridors. However, they are both weaker and less widespread than what we saw yesterday, with gusts only in the 20 to 35 mile per hour range. That's the red number that you see here. Winds may increase slightly through the mid-morning hours following the typical daytime cycle, but should drop off sharply by this afternoon. While winds will be weakening, the continued offshore flow is really warming us up. Take a look at the forecast high temperatures today, which are well above normal for this time of year, especially west of the coastal slopes in Southern California. If anything, today should be a couple of degrees warmer than yesterday, with most areas west of the coastal slopes getting well into the 90s, even potentially approaching 100 degrees in the warmest spots. This sort of weather is not unheard of, but still very impressive warmth for this time of year. Temperatures across the interior will be mainly in the upper 70s and 80s. And to go along with the heat, it will remain very dry as well, drier than yesterday, in fact. As we often see with offshore winds, we had very little in the way of RH recovery last night over Southern California, so many areas are already seeing humidities in the teens to start the day. We'll see minimum humidity drop into the mid-single digits to around 10% in much of Southern California today, easily the driest conditions we've seen so far this fall season. There do remain some localized areas of red flag warnings through early this evening to account for these lingering near-critical fire weather conditions. However, as we've been discussing, while it is warm, dry, and breezy, regional fire potential overall does continue to be significantly limited by the rain we received a couple of weeks ago. The offshore winds this week are primarily being driven by surface pressure gradients with very little in the way of upper-level support. The pressure gradients will weaken significantly by this evening, bringing a gradual end to the offshore wind event. And beyond today, we're going to get back into a pattern that's dominated by a very persistent ridge of moderate to strong high pressure over the western U.S. While the ridge will fluctuate somewhat in position and strength in the coming days, the end result is going to be continued warm and dry weather across our region, but with a lack of significant winds due to a lack of any offshore gradients or upper-level support. After today, the main story with this pattern will just be the lack of precipitation chances, along with persistently above normal temperatures. We will see a little bit of cooling west of the coastal slopes over the next couple of days due to the loss of the offshore winds, but it will still remain very warm and there will be little change across the interior. Overall, upper 70s to upper 80s will be common for high temperatures in a lot of areas heading through the middle of next week. Here's a look at the forecast highs on Saturday. It will remain dry as well, with minimum humidity mainly in the 12 to 25% range into early next week, but with lingering upper single digits over portions of Southern California away from the coast for the next several days. And again, no precipitation until at least the middle of next week, when a weather system may bring some rain chances, though right now that system is looking like it would mainly affect central and especially northern California. The very dry conditions with the ongoing offshore wind event, combined with the less windy but still long-lived warm and dry conditions over the next several days, will continue to bring large drops in our dead fuel moistures. Fire danger indices are finally recovering from the mid-October rains, with ERCs trending closer to normal for this time of year, and in some cases above normal, especially by early next week. Here's a look at the ERC graph for our Eastern Mountains PSA. But of course, the big X factor continues to be that October rainfall and the effect it's had on our fuelscape, with some areas experiencing a significant enough level of green up to greatly limit fire potential for a long time to come. The ratio of dead to live fuel will significantly impact fire potential going forward, and this ratio may vary considerably by location, elevation, and aspect until additional widespread rains occur. So despite the elevated to locally critical fire weather conditions today, large fire potential still remains quite low overall due to the green up we've seen and the fact that winds are already tailing off and will continue to do so. And beyond today, despite the warm and dry conditions, the lack of wind will further limit potential for the remainder of this week. If we were to get a more significant offshore wind event following this long dry period, then fire concerns may be greater. But right now, we're not seeing any indications of that happening over at least the next couple of weeks. So while we'd like to see some additional rain, right now it doesn't look like we have too much to be concerned about, even with the dry weather. That's it for today's webcast. Thanks for joining us. The next one will be on Thursday, October 30th.